right. Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meat Hook Jim here, WrestleHorror Podcast. As always, my co-host, Donnie Hoover. Donnie, how's it going?
Oh, doing good, bub. How's everybody doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. I'm sure these guys are
Fantastic.
too. Yeah. And, of course, we've got John Orlando with us. John?
How's it going, everybody?
And on this episode of WrestleHorror, we've got the guiding light, Matt Taylor. Matt, how are you?
Oh, I am doing great, fellas. How are we all doing? I'm excited.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you on here for a little while because Donnie's been trying to work some things out. So how are you handling things during this downtime for professionals?
You know, I'm doing pretty okay. It's different. Honestly, man, this is like the first time in 20 years that I've actually had like downtime from wrestling because like I started really young. So this has kind of been the first break that I've ever had. So it's actually been kind of nice.
Okay.
Which is shocking. Yeah.
When's the last time you wrestled?
Oh, goodness, man. You're going to have to make me think. It was probably the week before everything shut down. So
okay.
The week before the Arnold, maybe?
Yeah, it was week. Yeah, that was then. I don't remember what show it was, but yeah, so the second week of March.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Well, you know, one thing I've noticed with this downtime, with all the wrestlers and everything, it does give you guys actually some time to heal.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But I think, honestly, it's having like the opposite effect because we're so used to falling down, you know, so our bodies are just confused right now. Like, I don't understand what's going on, man.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Like back in my day when I wrestled, like I could like fall or do stuff and it wouldn't even faze me. And now it's like I walk into the kitchen and bump into the wall and I'm like, ow.
Yeah, it's different, man. That's for sure. Like, yeah, not falling down and then being, going like that, then it's a completely different world, man, that I was not prepared for.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be safe to say when they do open things back up, those first few shows for pretty much everybody is going to be pretty painful.
But, Matt, you've never had any major injuries, have you? Because as long as I've known you, you've always been pretty healthy.
Yeah, I've been lucky, man. I think the worst thing I did, like years ago at IWA at the backstage, I did a dive and I fractured my foot. But beyond that, and it didn't really stop me from wrestling or anything. So even though I should have. But yeah, no, that's pretty much been the worst thing that's happened. So yeah, this has been, the first time I've slowed down and recovered. So it's been weird.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the IWA. Let's back up a little bit and start from Matt Taylor's beginnings because, like I said, I've known Matt for many, many years now. People may not realize that, but he's been around a very long time, and I think I've known him probably from the get-go. So
you have, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your start there that people want to know.
Yeah, I started at the IWA. They had a youth class, the YWA, on West 5th Avenue in Grandview, Ohio. I walked in there, and I was 13. And they had a tryout, and I did it. And as a kid who's 13 years old, and they're told you can wrestle, hell yeah, I'm going to wrestle. So
you're on cloud nine.
Yeah, I was on cloud nine, man. At that point, because at that point, I was, into sports and everything. Youth sports, football, soccer, baseball. Then once that started, that was all, gone. Flew out the window. So yeah, I started there, and then I never really stopped.
How long was the initial training with Bull?
Till when?
Well, for your first few times at the IWA, was it kind of just more or less? Here's a couple of things, and then let you guys go and wrestle, or?
Yeah, we kind of got thrown into the fire, man. Okay. I walked in there, and I think I trained for 4 weeks, and then I started at the beginning of January in the year 2000. And yeah, that sounds about right. 2000 or 2001. And we always did shows the last Sunday of the month, and that's when I started. So it was like 4 weeks, and they just kind of shoved us out there.
Oh, yeah, to be honest, I thought the YWA stuff was great. I had a blast. I'd go and watch the shows and just sit in the audience, and I just have a blast with it. It was good to see those kids out there having some fun like that.
That was the best part, man, because like, you know, our parents would show up and everything and watch us, but they didn't really know how to react, you know, to be wrestling fans. So they would be more or less scared. But the adult wrestlers for the IWA would be there and play it up and have fun with us and pop and stuff like that. So it was fun. But I had no business actually doing that. I've said that from the very beginning.
So you're saying you should have never listened to any of us back then.
Right, exactly. And anyone who says that now, like, I'll have people come up to me at like the gimmick tables and stuff now and say, hey, my son he's 15 and wants to start training. And go, no, just wait till he's 18. Don't bring him anywhere at 15, 16. Don't, just wait. Yep. You are not old enough yet. You are not mentally prepared for the crap that you're going to get handed.
Yeah. Now, have you ever done any other trainings besides here in Columbus? Like if you went out of state and went to any of the big schools or anything?
No, I haven't gone to the schools, but I've done like lots of seminars and stuff like that. I've done like Steve Carino's, Chris Hero's. Oh Lord, trying to think of all the ones I've done. I've done that, then I've gone to the Ring of Honor tryouts and stuff like that. Just, lots of seminars, and I'm blanking right now, but keep trying to do them, and everything, even now, because you don't stop learning. Yeah.
Right. Were you're going back to a comment you made just a few minutes ago, Matt? Were your parents fine with you wrestling?
Oh no. No. My parents hated it, man. But they knew that I loved it. So, and from the time I was a kid, like 4, I watched wrestling. So they kind of knew once I found the end that there was no real deterring me. So they just kind of embraced it after that, I guess. But they didn't want me to do it at all. No.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, who were some of your favorites growing up as a kid? Since you said you've been watching since you've been 4. Who were some of your favorites, man?
Like some of like the things I can remember most when I was a kid. I would go to like Blockbuster and things like that, and I would rent the old Coliseum videos. And WrestleMania 4 was big for me. So like Macho Man was huge for me. Hulk Hogan, obviously, and Ultimate Warrior were like my big 3 when I was little, and then it kind of all snowball from there, guys. Yeah.
Okay, so you were a WWF fan growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't hold that against you.
I actually had that talk with my cousin like last week, because he's 8 years older than me, so he loves NWA Flair and all that. But like, man, that was a decade before me, so I grew up with the big characters and Hogan and Hulk, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and everything. So that's pretty much how it happened with that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Around that time, that's probably about all you had, really.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So after the IWA, because not only you were in the youth class, but then you started wrestling for the IWA when you turned 18.
Yes.
So after IWA, where did you head to next? Because I believe, was it OCW or was there a couple spots in between?
You know what, man? Jeff Cannon, he was a tough one to crack. Like, he was one of the last ones in Ohio that I actually got to work for. I left IWA, went to Mad Pro and the WWC down in Southern Ohio. Yeah, after that, yeah. But no, man, took forever for Jeff to actually love me. So,
so did you notice right away, like when you left IWA, you went to, say for example, Mad Pro?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice right off the bat the difference in the crowd?
Yeah, man. Every place is different. Every town is different. But what was weird about Mad Pro is it was the same town as the IWA, but wasn't the same fans, which I always found fascinating. Like, you would think there would be some spill over, but it was completely different. So yeah, Mac Pro was a different style because Josh, he tried to get more of the indie guys there, and it wasn't more local guys. So yeah, it was definitely a different atmosphere. So
Because
yeah.
that was Chillicothe, correct? In that
Yes.
bar? Yeah, Mad Pro. Gotcha.
Yeah, they did that. I don't remember the bar name, but it was like an old bank. It
Yes.
was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Cool.
sure. Yeah.
Cool. So who would you say was some of your favorite opponents or toughest opponents, whatever you want to call?
Oh man. My favorite opponent of all time would be Aaron Williams. He was there with me from the time I turned 19, so until now. So we've wrestled all over the state together, and Aaron is one of those guys who I don't think ever really gets the credit for how good he is because of how good of a guy he is, if that makes sense. Because he's never going to be the one to tell you how great he is. But man, I've wrestled so many good guys, so many great guys, so many guys who are on TV now and done great things. So it's kind of hard. But honestly, my favorite by far is Aaron, just because not only the wrestler but the man he is.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So who were some of the people that you've wrestled that are now on TV?
Oh man, half the NXT roster. John Moxley, I've wrestled.
Nice.
I've wrestled Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, Swerve, lots of them, and I've been in there with a lot of great guys who've gone on to do great things, man. Which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I love to see it. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a ring with any like WWE legends where you kind of marked out a little bit?
Marked out. I mean, I have so many, like, a lot. Marked out, yeah. But then, honestly, man, like, the majority of the time when I got in there with them, I was really young. So it was more or less not marking out, but more or less not wanting to mess it up.
Too bad. Hey, that's the way I was with Snuka. I was like, oh man, if I screw something up, he's gonna kill me.
Yeah, exactly. I wrestled a Vader, and I thought I was gonna die. So
I'd have loved to wrestle Vader. That'd have been awesome.
You wouldn't have. Vader beat the crap out of me, man.
A rumor has it he works stiff.
Man, that is 100% true. And Vader is such a nice guy that he apologized to me afterwards. I was 18. Literally, I was 18. I just turned 18. And I was the only one. He did a 1-on-3 match with us, and I was the only one that could wrestle. And
was that in Lancaster?
It was in Lancaster.
I was at that show.
Were you? You got to see me die. You know what? Screw it. We'll go back. I'll tell the whole story. So I had my first match with Bull, and it was also in Lancaster. And then I was doing the training. Then I was training the YWA kids, and I got hurt. So I had my first match, hurt my knee. So I was off for like a month. Then I came back. And then as I was coming back, Bull says, I got something for you. I said, what's that? Yes, we're going back to Lancaster, and you're going to wrestle Vader. What? He said, you're going to wrestle Vader. And I was like, all right, cool. I guess that's fine. I can do that. I was scared shitless. So we get there that day, and Bull's like, Vader thinks it'd be better if it was like him going against the gang of guys. All right, that's cool. We can do that. So the gang of guys ended up being me, but under a mask, and Bones Dudley, and a guy who walked up to Vader when we got there, shook his hand, said, hi, my name is Sugar Daddy. I'm green. This is my first match.
Oh, jeez.
Vader didn't say a damn word. Vader smiled.
Just nodded, yeah.
Did this. So...
if only that kid knew.
Right. So Vader looks at me and goes, we'll start the match. And I said, all right. So we go out there. He doesn't say anything. Well, no, what? hold on, we'll back up even further when I thought I was for sure going to die. So I had this crappy mask, right? This crappy lucha mask. I put it on. Vader looks at me and goes, that's a cool mask. And I look at him and his mask and I go, I'll trade you. Did not pop for it at all. Vader just stared at me and went, okay, now I'm really going to die. I tried to make him laugh. It didn't work. So we go out there and we're having this match and the bell rings and like I said, we didn't talk about anything. So we just go out there and like Vader starts. All right. For people who don't know me, I am all of 5'8" if I'm lucky. Vader is not. Okay. Vader's about 6'4", 400, 500 pounds at his point in his life and everything. So we go to lock up, but we're not locking up. Vader just kind of slowly backs me into a corner and then takes his hand and throws a punch at me as fast as he can right at my nose. But pauses right before he hits me. And then he screams to the crowd, oh, that would have hurt. He's right. That would have hurt because then as I go to sell that, he starts laying in these Vader punches, which if you've never taken a Vader punch, he punches you with his wrist right here as hard as he can and just blast you. So he's hitting me, shoots me off, gives me a clothesline. And like I said, I'm all 5'8". Vader is not 5'8". And does not care to adjust his clothesline. His clothesline hits me dead in the face, knocks out half my filling, and all I hear is this loud ringing in my ear, this boom. And what brings me to is I didn't say tag out yet. Apparently, I had crawled to go tag out of the ring. And the first thing I remember saying after that, very loudly, and I have this on tape, is me going, I wasn't tagging out, sir. And he grabs me, picks me up, and goes, are you okay? And I go, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, all right, cool, choke slam. Choke slams me and goes, now you can tag out. Tags in Sugar Daddy. Sugar Daddy comes in. Vader takes his open hand palm, slaps him in the ear. Ooh. To this day, Sugar Daddy lost 90% of his hearing in his left ear.
Wow.
Blood was coming out of his ear. Vader picks him up, throws him out of the ring, and in this building, it was a barn, a dirt floor barn. All I see is this puff of dirt come up from the other side of the ring. And then points to me and goes, you come back in here. I'm like, damn it. But at this point, I think Vader likes me now, and we actually wrestle for a second. We wrestle, we do a couple things, and then he says, all right, I'm done now. And there were some other guys, local guys there, Cyrus Poe, Tommy Chill, and Jobber. And one of them graciously, from the last row, yelled, kill the other guy. So that prompted Vader to grab me and toss me and finally tag in Bones Dudley, and he killed Bones Dudley, and that was the end of the match. So that was my fun Vader story, and we get to the back, and Vader looks at me and says, I'm sorry that I worked so stiff out there. It was a lower crowd, and it needed to look real. And I smiled. I said, thank you, sir. But I watched you work.
I don't think crowd had anything to do with it.
Okay. No. I feel like right now I have to apologize to you, Matt. I have to apologize to you because I was heckling you guys in that match. And little did I not know it was you.
You dick.
Because there was 20 people there? There was nobody there.
20 people, yeah.
And my buddy Joey and I went down, and we were sitting way up in the bleachers, and we started this chant at the beginning of the match of "Fuck them up, Vader, fuck them up."
That was you?
That was me. Me and Joey. Yeah. Because remember, Vader gets mad, and he looks over in our general direction, and he yells, "There are kids here!"
Yes, yeah, I have it all on tape.
Yeah, and then we started chanting, "We're sorry, Vader."
Yes,
we're sorry, Vader.
Oh my God, John, you're blowing my mind right now. God, you never told me this before.
I don't know.
Hey, Matt, you'll just have to remember that next time you do a dive outside toward the announcer's table.
I'm going right for the table.
Absolutely, I will.
Matt's going to just tell his opponent, Just you don't even have to be in the way. Just move out of the way. I'm going right into the Orlando on the table.
Do you know the amount of times I've tried to do that? I've literally tried to jump over the table, but my opponent will never do it. Like, I can clear the table, guys. Trust me.
You just need to like jump to the outside and then just slide under the table and bite him on the ankle or something.
You caused my death that day, you jerk. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
No,
John,
it's fine.
you're in trouble the next New Ohio.
I am.
Did you not know it was him until just now?
I had no idea.
I had no idea it was Matt.
Yeah,
But,
I
yeah.
didn't know. It was a good mask, but I didn't know until this point, until he straight up said that chant, because I remember that, because literally that chant happened after the punch.
Right.
He does a slow punch, goes, "Oh, that would have hurt," and then the "fuck him up, Vader, fuck him up" chant start, and I go like this. And that's when Vader fucked me up after he said there's kids here.
Well, I say John said he didn't know it was you either at that time till just now. Yeah.
We talked about this on your podcast, John. You didn't bring it up then.
I didn't. You know what? I just assumed that it was some other unfortunate individuals that got murdered. Never in my wildest dreams would I go, man, it's somebody that I'm going to like and care about. And, no, it was fucking jobbers were getting their asses handed to them by Vader. I was there.
Well, I hope you're happy, John. I hope you're happy for what you did to me.
The dirt we uncover on the WrestleHorror podcast.
Dig that hole a little deeper, John.
Yeah, man. I thought we were friends. Yeah.
Oh, that is an awesome story. I mean, I could only imagine. I mean, all the stories I've heard about Vader and how stiffy works, and you've been there. So I'm glad it was you and not me.
You should be, because like every story is 100% true. Like, especially me being 18.
Right.
Didn't stand a chance, man. Yeah.
So can I ask real quick about probably what OCW fans remember, probably the first time actually seeing you compete was
you
with
do this, aren't you?
Well, I wanted to ask about Chad Cruz and your tag team with Cruz.
Not where I thought you were going, because there's another bone to pick with you with this, but go on.
Oh, wait, no, wait. I got set up on that one. Okay. I got set up on that one. This is what happens when you believe Jeremy Madrox. You're like,
you should never believe Jeremy. You should never believe Madrox.
Well, hey, what's the story? I want to know.
So, like I said earlier, it took me years. I wrestled Jeff Cannon. We had a good match in WWC. It took me another year after that to finally get booked for Jeff Cannon, and it took a blizzard of people not showing up for Jeff finally to book me. We get there, and I get put in this match, and Jeremy Madrox, this is my first mistake. I said, I didn't bring my music. Jeremy said, I got you. And I know Jeremy
that was your first mistake.
I know Jeremy said I was 13, so I should have thought twice about this. But as my music starts to play, it's I like to move it. I like to move it. And John Orlando announces me as Move It Matt Taylor. So my debut for OCW was as Move It Matt Taylor. You jerk.
I am sorry that I believe Jeremy Madrox.
Who would be called that, John? Who?
Yeah, I guarantee nobody ever had the name Move It.
I swear to God, I didn't know. It was, as a side story, that's the second time I've been blamed for bad music. PWC, Todd Richards didn't bring music one time, and I asked him, I go, do you have music? He's like, no. And they had some other guy running music. He goes, tell him to play something hip hop. I'm like, okay, cool. So I told the guy that, and they ended up playing New Kids on the Block.
Hey, man.
I had heat with Richards for like 2 weeks on that. I'm like, dude, I swear to God, I didn't do it. It's not a rib. Like, I told the guy, play something hip hop. That's what he pulled up.
That's his fault, man. He should have embraced the shit out of that. Just went out there like dancing and everything. I worked it. I moved it when I came.
You did.
After the initial shock, you know.
Well, anywho, can we talk a little bit about your tag team with Chad Cruz? Because I know the Noble Bloods, you guys had a long run in OCW and down in southwestern Ohio and everything. So how did the team come together?
It goes back to the IWA. Chad started, and he was, like I said, I was training the kids class, and Chad was training with Bull. And I love Bull, God rest his soul. But Bull is very limited with the things that he can show you. So Chad started showing up to the kids class and would train, and everything. And then he would, go on the shows. But then Chad was in the National Guard. He went to Afghanistan, I believe, for a year, and then came back. When he came back, I was at that point wrestling for HWA. And I was wearing a dress, and I wasn't really doing much. And I said, "Hey, Chad, I need a tag team partner." He said, "All right." And he started coming there, and then we kind of got put together, and the rest was kind of history at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why were you wearing a dress?
Man, at that point, I started out there and I was doing everything. I mean, I got to wrestle a lot of great guys. That's when I wrestled John Moxley for the first time and everything. But, I was new there. I was young. I was 20? So I was just a young guy, and I didn't really have a gimmick. And they came up with an idea of me to wrestle hardcore Heather Owens. And I was being a misogynist jerk, and it all culminated with, if I lose to her, I wear a dress, and I lost. So I had to wear a dress for 30 days. And then after that, they put us with King Vu, and the Noble Bloods were born.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about that, dude.
Yeah, man. Then we all kind of branched off from there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah. But Chad's dead now. Not actually. He just got married and had kids and everything.
He's like, let me clarify.
Well done. Well done, Matt.
I really hope he watches us now.
So, Matt, unfortunately, I mean, you came down and wrestled for FGW recently.
I did. Yeah.
And unfortunately, that was the one show that I missed because I've been to every show since August. And that weekend,
I've been there twice.
Okay, the first time was before me.
Okay.
But I missed the second show because I was in North Carolina and I wanted to see you wrestle there because but this whole guiding light thing, and that's what they were building up to, bringing you in again before the COVID hit.
Right.
Because I remember seeing the promo is coming up with the guiding light, Matt Taylor. It's like,
yeah, that's what they played that night. Me and Terry come down there after they canceled the Arnold. We went down. We went down that Friday night, and they had his on or montage video or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like I saw that. I said, "What happened to Dark Star?"
Well, all good things must come to an end.
Sure.
So it was, man, I think I became the Dark Star when I was 23. So almost 10 years of that, man. It was time to change. And if you're not reinventing yourself, you're getting lost in the shuffle. And I just kind of got bored with it. So it was some time for something new.
Sure.
And to be reborn.
Yeah, but the tattoos don't really work.
Oh, you haven't seen me wrestle yet, have you? You'll never see the tattoos. It's okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen you wrestle as the guiding light.
Right.
So, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm sorry. Did somebody else?
No, you go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of the different gimmicks and wrestling, and I forgot where I was going with this, but I'm going to see if I can remember real quick.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep talking and figure it out.
Yeah. I'll hash it out here. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank completely. I got distracted. So, John, whatever you had to say, I'll remember it after you.
Way to go, John.
It's all your fault.
Again,
I'm the scapegoat on this episode, aren't I? Shit.
Why do you think we have you on here? No.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, I got nothing. I mean, I got nothing. I'm in a glass house. I'm not going to throw stones.
Well, speaking of Matt's tattoos, I do have to say that his arm tattoo is probably one of my favorites I've ever seen. If I'm being honest.
Let me see.
Thank you.
Does it show up?
Yes, sir. That one right there.
There we go. There it is.
Look at that.
Thank you, Donnie.
It's pretty cool.
Because that's what I want. That's what I wanted to. That's what I wanted to segue into. Because Donnie has told me that you're a huge horror fan.
I am. Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, by your tattoos. Favorite horror movie?
Oh goodness, man. That's hard. I love Wes Craven so much. So anything that he does, I'm a huge fan of.
Okay.
A Nightmare on Elm Street will always have such a awesome spot in my heart, but Scream is my favorite. Okay. I think I watched that so many times because it was it kind of you had the birth of these slashers in the 80s and everything, and then it kind of started to die off, but then Wes was like, nope, I got this. Here's Scream. You get this, complete horror movie, murder mystery slasher film, and it was awesome and perfect and kept you guessing. So yeah, so Scream is my favorite of all time. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's at the top of my list as well, and I agree with you completely. I've told a couple people that I was a big 80s horror guy and loved all of 80s horror, and then it just kind of died off, and then the stuff that did come out was crap and didn't make sense, and then Scream just basically just like gave it a shot of adrenaline and just brought horror slasher back to where it is.
Yeah, it was kind of like its last breath though, because now we have a bunch of Japanese and paranormal horror, which it's I don't know. I don't understand why we can't figure out a new slasher to come back with at this point. But, yeah,
there's got to be a new one that can be made.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. The blueprint's there.
There you go. Yeah. Unfortunately, Hollywood likes to. The creativity in Hollywood is dropped radically because it's always a reboot or a rehash or but some of these B horror movies that come out that might fly under the radar actually are worth checking out. And I don't know if you have it. I know Donnie's got it. The Shudder horrors. You can find some pretty interesting stuff on there that you've probably never heard of.
Right.
And you're not going to, you can't expect, Universal Studios quality effects, but, for what it is, I enjoy some of the B movies, it's.
That's what, horror is, because, at the start, they were not these mainstream movies or anything, so they should be like that. They should be gritty and dark and dirty, and that's what makes them great, man. Because I think the original Friday the 13th was made for basically nothing, and then if you put the gross to now, what it made off of that, it's crazy to think about, but that's what it should be. It should feel dark and gritty, and that's what horror is.
Oh yeah. I've become a big fan of independent films, and especially on Shudder and Tubi. I found a couple good ones too. I mean, you can find. I
hate Tubi. My brother for a month said, "Hey man, get Tubi." It makes literally no sense, and I'm going to explain it. But it's why I hate Tubi and Hulu for the same exact reason. But I don't hate cable. Commercials. I'm watching a movie and a commercial hits right in the middle. This is stupid. Tubi, because of that. But no, but the selection on Tubi though is great though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I watched Train to Busan on Tubi, and I was annoyed by the commercials because you're into the action, and then it's shit.
It's oh man, what the hell, man? Yeah.
One of my favorite, it was an independent film when it first came out, but gained a little more mainstream is Jeepers Creepers.
Mm-hmm. I love Jeepers Creepers.
Great film. And it actually, the first one was filmed, I was living in Florida at the time when it was filmed. So shortly after it came out, I took a drive to where they shot all the footage, and I've seen that church where the creeper was throwing bodies down the tube before it burned down. And so, you know,
that's awesome.
And I've actually met Jonathan Breck, who played the creeper. And I met him at a horror convention, and he creeped me out because, you know, he was just normal Jonathan Breck. We were talking. I interviewed him for my other podcast, The Big Scary Show. And when I went to pose for a picture, he sniffed me like the creeper would. I mean, he's standing there just next to me, and I hear this sniffing going on. I was like, the hair on the back of my neck stood up when he did that.
That's awesome, though. Yeah. So
he's keeping kayfabe alive, man.
Absolutely,
Kayfabe's alive with him.
Absolutely.
Every good artist should. When the Jason tattoo on my arm is from Friday the 13th, Part 7, which is the first one with Kane Hodder.
Yes.
And I met Kane Hodder at a convention, and I showed him, and he was not impressed. I said, I got your tattoo on me. And he said, is it of me or is it of him? And I went, like Vader, I went, oh no, I made him mad.
I fucked up.
So the picture, he's strangling me.
Yep.
And he's literally strangling me.
Yep.
You can see in the picture, he's literally, my face is red because he's literally choking me. I got choked out by Jason. So that's pretty cool.
Me too. I've been choked out by Jason as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
me too. Right. Which I wasn't ready for it though. He kind of just like snatched me up, and I was just like, oh god damn.
Yeah, my face was red and everything.
Yeah. Thankfully, my brother met him a year before that and told me all about it, so I had an inkling of what was going to happen. But
well, yeah, I mean, I was a dumbass that asked for it. I was like, "Hey, can I get a choke pick?" And I was expecting I was going to get in position and get ready, and he was just like, "Yeah, sure," and just grabbed me. And I was like, "Oh god!" Oh
So,
my Jesus!
In that vein, do you enjoy going to haunted attractions, haunted houses?
oh yes, that's my favorite, man. I love it. I love being scared.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you've been to ones around the Columbus area?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever go to Mine and Grove City?
I am not. You know that.
Son
I
of
feel bad. I'm sorry. You know what, man? It's been hard. You know.
Yeah. Well, when we were open, you were always
man.
working.
Yeah, right. No, I've gone to the haunted hoochie a bunch.
Okay. Yep, I've been
what's
to the Hoochie.
What's the one on 161?
13th floor.
I've gone to that one.
It was Scaratorium.
Yeah, it was
Yes,
Scaratorium.
yeah, I've gone to that one. That's been fun. When I was a kid, I don't think they do it anymore. I did the haunted trail. I don't remember where it was, but it was somewhere around the area.
It was out east somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was out east somewhere. But one of my favorites in Ohio is out in Wilmington. They have a haunted bus ride, which is awesome.
Wilmington Haunted Hayride.
Yes, it's a bus, and then like one of the climaxes, the bus is chased by a semi truck,
Yep.
and then actually hits the bus, which is fucking crazy, but it's cool to see. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever been on that. I'd like to try that one out.
You need to go. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too far from Brimstone, Donnie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And as far as Scaratorium goes, I've worked at Scaratorium before, and I've actually trained actors at Scaratorium before that.
Oh,
Yeah, he's also trained at My Haunt in your hometown that you've never been to. But,
I promise you, you keep bringing this up, I will come.
Oh, it's not open now. We was only open for 2 seasons.
No, I gotcha. Well, then.
How's it feel, Matt, to be the scapegoat? How's it feel, huh?
It was bound to happen.
I'm a professional. I'm actually retired, but I'm a professional haunted house actor and trainer.
That's awesome.
But I retired this past year. I'm not beyond doing some training and stuff, but Yeah, I love scaring people, you know, so people like you that like to get scared are my favorite kind because you appreciate what we're doing.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, man, that's part of the fun. It's like take it back to to wrestling. You know, it's the same thing. You want that pop, you want that scare. So it's the same thing, man.
Right.
See, he's not just a pretty face on the microphone after all, is he?
This.
Yeah. Maybe I'll wear one of my masks when I announce sometime.
Absolutely.
The unknown ring announcer instead of the unknown scare actor.
So, okay, so we've talked about horror. We talked about some of your history and some of your wrestling. What advice would you give to new wrestlers getting into this business?
Oh man, don't know that's not right. That's you gotta love it, man. Like if this is something you want to do, like whether it's you want something that you want to make a living at, or if it's just something you want to do on the weekends, it's commitment. 100%, man. Like it is diet, it is exercise, it is full blown commitment to what you'd love to do. And that's all I've, ask of anyone that I'm ever in there with is that this is for those, 10 minutes, 10 to 20, this is what you want. So just full blown, give me everything you have, commitment, because that's what it takes. I mean, and people can tell if your heart, is there or not. And that's wrestling, man. It's about your heart. So that would be the best advice that I could give, man, because this is not an instant success. It is something you have to work hard at, and it's slow. So patience, I think, is the best advice that I could give. Just
unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of young people that are trying to get into the business, they think it's immediate success. They think they're going to be a star. Not all of them, but some of them don't really understand the business and think it's just instant. But, you and other, these guys you see on TV, they've been working for years. You've been working for years. It's not an overnight thing.
I mean, yeah, that's what it is, man. I mean, it's just it's years of hard work. Because the unfortunate thing about professional wrestling, unless you're exceptional at it, you don't really grasp it until you've done it for a long time.
Right.
So the moment you get it figured out, you're like, man, if only I was, 5 to 10 years younger. I wish I was, So don't be afraid to ask questions, man. Learn as much as you can. That's what wrestling should be, Just ask, shut up, listen, and that's what it should be. Just listen, man. Learn.
That's sage advice, and everybody we've had on this show since we started, it's always shut up and listen.
Yeah, man, that's what it should be.
It's amazing how many of them don't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all of us were guilty of being young and dumb and not, doing that. But that is the best thing you will ever do for yourself, man. Is you just watch, shut up, listen, and work hard, man, and great things will happen for you.
And I've got to say, I got to bring up the fair last year. When you did that Spanish fly, you had everybody nervous, man. Everybody.
Yeah. So anyone who knows me will know that I am the most stubborn person you will ever meet. So, Dirk's ring was the one we had. That is like one of the few rings that I've wrestled in that are rope, because normally there's cable rope.
Right.
So, what he's referencing right now is when we went up to do this Spanish fly. If you've ever seen rope, it does not hold like cable does. So we started to go, and when I stepped up there, we kind of wobbled back and forth. Yeah. And there was a question between me and Brandon of, do we abort this move or not? And I went, no, we're here now. So it was just we kind of gathered ourselves and we kind of went, and we went perfect after that. But it was what felt like to me an eternity, and I'm sure did all of everyone else watching, but it was 5 seconds of, oh my God, they're going to die.
I was just building up the anticipation of it all.
Well, I was standing.
That's what I planned the whole time.
I was standing near Terry, and she stopped breathing.
I love her so much. She's so sweet.
She gets nervous real easy like that.
She's as sweet as can be. That's awesome, though. And that's what it's about, man. You got to get that one person to believe for a second. That's awesome.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about that, and it's like, that could have gone wrong, but it didn't.
I'm too stubborn to let that happen. Right. So I'm gonna make it work regardless,
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, this has been great.
Yeah, man, lots of fun.
Yeah, this has been one of the. It's a great Vader story, and this is what WrestleHorror is about. We just like to sit back and BS, talk about stories. Talk about a little bit of
stories for days. Yeah, man. I got stories for days. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask the question and stuff because I always like to learn, and that's my thing. I always try to learn off of people. And one thing about Matt that I've appreciated and sort of admired as well is the fact that even though everybody knows what wrestling is nowadays, Matt still tries to somewhat keep the kayfabe alive. And he will live his gimmick sometimes even outside the ring. Yeah. And a perfect example is when the Dark Star was coming to an end. The day he was coming to an end, he was standing in my living room, and he was booked at War Wrestling that night, which was the end of Dark Star. And we had talked about what he had planned for that night and what he's going to do. And the end of Dark Star never came up. I didn't find out until after. And I was like, that little bastard, So, but that's a good quality to have is, trying to keep the mystique and, like he said, and the surprise and all that alive. But speaking of with you, trying to maintain some sort of kayfabe and trying to live the character sometimes outside of the ring. When you're getting ready for your match and you need to bring the Dark Star or the Guiding Light or whoever you are at that time, whether it be masked going against Vader or whatever, what do you do to prepare mentally to get yourself into that character? And does it music? Is it just mentally thinking, talking to yourself? Does it just happen? What do you do to get ready?
Man, it is a lot of self-isolation because I need to, if there's any, okay, so I'm a dad, I'm gonna put that out there, and anytime that the kids are at the show, it's very hard for me to be Matt Taylor. So I very much need to be isolated. I need to be alone. I need to be, wholly immersed in who I am, because anything that is not Matt Taylor is, I think, cheapening the fans and the performance from what I'm doing. So it's just basically I go off on my own, man, and I kind of sit there and I think, and then I hype myself up, and then it's music hits and it's full blown pedals to the metal because I only know one speed. And I thought at some point that I would slow down, but man, the moment I slow down, I get hurt, and I don't want to get hurt. So,
right,
yeah, that's what it is, man.
Yeah, see, I kind of did the same thing when I knew it was, especially if it was like some kind of, something that I considered a big match or a big storyline I had to get across. Then I would kind of do that. I would kind of just like sink into the shadows and get away from everybody and just try to find, get ready and find him and bring him out and all that. So that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, wrestling, if we want to do this and we want to, you can say that Beyond the Match showed everyone that, it's not real. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you can for 1 second make someone believe that, I know all the rest of that crap is, it's not real. It's bullshit. But if you can make that 1 second someone think, hey, man, that was real. That is the true art form of what we do. if you can suspend disbelief for 1 second. And like, when I was younger doing this, man, like the perfect example of that is someone like John Moxley, because Moxley, from the moment I met him, did not stop being crazy.
Right.
It did not matter what we were doing. It did not matter for a second. I literally would walk into a room and he'd be by himself, and he was talking to a blade. You didn't know if anyone was, there or not. But that is what wrestling should be, and everyone and all the great ones will act that way. Brian Pillman or anyone like that, they're going to make you believe that this is what it is, and that's what wrestling should be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how can people find out more about the Guiding Light, Matt Taylor? You got social media, things like that out there where people can find out more about you?
I have pamphlets. Would you like a pamphlet?
I've got one, actually.
You can follow me on Twitter, which is at DarkstarMT, which needs to be updated, and on Facebook, which is the same thing, Darkstar. You can find me on there, and I will spread the gospel of the light to all of you and enlighten all of your souls, because we all need a new outlook on life at this point.
Very true.
And I picked up the pamphlet that was at FGW, and I brought it home. My wife goes, "You actually brought that home?"
Hey,
Absolutely.
Hey. Damn right you should have.
So awesome, Matt. It's been great to talk to you. It's been too long since we've seen you, so
hey, man,
this is just awesome to talk to you for a little bit here.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to the point where I can come up and grab all of you guys and hug the crap out of you and not let go, because this has been complete bullshit. So.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I say. I'm like the biggest hugger of all. I hug everybody, and I'm like, now what am I supposed to do?
Well, see, I'm waiting to see what you do to John Orlando.
You know what, man?
I think there's a Vader bomb in my future, probably.
Not a chance. The first thing I'm going to do is grab John and just kiss him right on his lips, because I miss John to death.
But it's been awesome, man. And we'd love to have you back on again and get some more stories out of you. Yeah, that Vader story was awesome, so I'm sure
anytime
a retinue of stories we can talk about.
Yeah, man, I got them all, man. So anytime, guys. This has been so much fun. Yeah.
I agree. I think the viewers and listeners are going to really enjoy this episode. So thanks again for being a part of WrestleHorror on this episode, and keep staying in shape, and we can't wait to see you in the ring again.
Guys, I can't wait to be in the ring again, and thank all of you. Thank you for having me. Thank all the fans, and this has been so cool, guys.
All right. I am Meathead Jim with our special guest, Matt Taylor, Donnie Hoover, John Orlando. Catch us on the next episode, and we'll see you on the flip side.